When we address the issue of faith today, it is not about adding a superficial layer to our existing lives, but about conducting a comprehensive self-examination of our lives and embarking on a new way of living. Ingentio, the spiritual predicament of our era, a dialogue on the issue of faith, sharing of some very important common sense of life. Xiefeng, translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. October 19th, 2020. If your life is stable but stressed, see if you lack common sense in these areas. If the greatest creator came to you but you failed to recognize him, then your life will reincarnate again and again. If gods, Buddhas, and celestials have come to see you but you have been unaware, then you have not yet awakened, and you can only keep on sleeping. If noble people occasionally appear in your life but you do not acknowledge them, then it will be difficult for your life to have a turning point and change, and your hardships are inevitable. Among the three factors that change one's destiny, personality is a very important one. This person may be a god, Buddha, celestial, or noble on the path of your life, and as long as you know any of them, your destiny will develop and change for the better. But I found that no one knows the greatest creator, and when gods, Buddhas, and celestials come around, people do not know them either. When noble people come near, few will pay attention to them. Therefore, most people are just living beings, rather than otherworldly saints. Some people can change the trajectories and destinies of their lives, but it is unfortunate if they keep missing their chances. 5 major turning points impacted my life. 4 were from noble people, and 1 was related to the greatest creator. Had I not recognized the greatest creator, this tour guide that you know would not have been born, and were it not for the 4 noble people's guidance and help, I would be an old farmer in my hometown today. Where are the noble people, the gods, Buddhas, and celestials, and where is the greatest creator? They are all in your life and at your side. Why can you not see them, and why are you not aware of their existences? This has something to do with your consciousness and soul, as well as your understanding and realm. From your consciousness point of view, you cannot tell the priority of your life or reverse it, and from your spiritual point of view, your heart is too selfish and your mind is dim and closed. If your understanding is poor, then the sound of water running down mountains is noise, and if your realm is not high, and you cannot see beyond material content. For example, if I am the noble one in your life, then have I ever appeared before you? And if I have, then did you pay attention to me? If you did not, then you will not get anything from me, let alone change the trajectory and destiny of your life. How can it be considered that you have paid attention to me? When I speak, you must first listen carefully and then express your gratitude to me. When I come to you, you must stop what you are doing, mute your mobile phone, isolate yourself from the outside world, and communicate with me seriously and intently. When I post articles in WeChat, circles of friends, you should offer likes and show that you have me in your heart. When I show you the way, you must have no doubts, but rather start then and there. Such can be considered your having paid attention. So what kind of words and deeds are considered as your not having paid attention? When I talk to you, do you steer clear of my crucial points, not focus on the subjects of our conversations, and stray to topics that have nothing to do with my subjects? Do you talk too much and listen too little? When I came to you, or when you came to me, were you too busy looking at your phone and chatting with someone else to communicate seriously with me? When I posted an article, did you never offer a like, and therefore prove that I am not important to your consciousness? Were you so busy expressing yourself that you never reacted to my point of view, and so on? What I am saying is that there must be someone whose cognition is higher than yours in any group. Just as in a banquet, there must be a guest of honor. Therefore, after entering any group, the first thing that you must do is to find a person whose cognitive ability is higher than yours. As long as they are there, then you should talk less and listen more to them. In this way, you will benefit. Since they might be a celestial, Buddha, or the noble person in your life, they might well change your miserable destiny. There are mountains beyond mountains, skies above skies, people beyond people, and great masters beyond masters. Do not express yourself too much. When confronted by people with higher cognitive abilities, always listen, do not argue or express yourself, because the more you do, the worse you will be, because within the scope of his or her cognition, those actions can only show your limitations. When you become complacent, they will have already abandoned you. In this way, you will have missed the gods, Buddhas, celestials, and noble people, and missed your opportunity to change your destiny. When one thinks that they are completely right, then there is no room or opportunity for them to sublimate anymore. Their sublimation will be over, and the gods, Buddha, celestials, and noble people will avoid them. All those who insist that they are right will distance themselves from gods, Buddhas, celestials, and noble ones, and auspicious lights will no longer shine on them because they will have already set their shape, and what they now are will definitely remain the same in the future. People have many opportunities to change their destinies throughout their lives, but most are not blessed to seize them. Gods, Buddhas, celestials, and nobles will appear once or many times in each person's life, but whether you can get to know, meet, and accept them depends on your own thoughts, words, and deeds. Of course, the core factor is your consciousness, state of mind, realm, and understanding. Remember, when you feel that you are right, are obsessed with it, and are arrogant about it, then you are finished. The 18 truths one needs to understand in life. Xiefeng, March 16, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Life is but a journey of life in the human world. Life is finite, yet the journey of life is infinite. The pursuit of happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss is the main course of life. Everything else is but a detour. If you hold power and influence, the country serves as your haven. If you are powerless, the country becomes your prison. The person who guides you towards heaven is your kin. The one who obstructs your path to heaven is your foe. When a person uses money as the standard of value, they have lost their humanity. When a person dares not say no to power, lifelong servitude becomes their inevitable fate. If you have not fully grasped the teachings of Jesus, Sakyamuni, and Laozi, refrain from teaching and guiding others. Once you do, you have set foot on the path of the devil. Once married, you willingly relinquish half of your sovereignty in life. Henceforth, life inevitably becomes beyond your control. Interpersonal relationships are unreliable. Rather than spending time and energy on them, it is better to learn and enhance your own survival skills. To earn the respect of others, you must possess value. As long as you desire to gain advantages without effort, you will inevitably fall into a trap. If not a human trap, then a devil's trap. Honesty is always the best policy in life. If you are a commoner, simply carry out your tasks quietly. Avoid wasting time and energy arguing, debating, and quarreling with others. If you wish to receive help from the heavens, earth, gods, and people, you must clearly articulate your desires and requests. Once you crave comfort and pleasure, you embark on the road to corruption and degeneration, and pain and disaster will inevitably follow. What you receive and what you give are always equal. This is the way of heaven, and also the principle of nature. Therefore, do not rejoice in secret because of what you receive, and do not harbor resentment or regret for what you give. Revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, and follow the path of nature. Those who are selfless and devoid of ego are the finest among people. They are the saints. Following these selfless individuals will lead you to heaven. The best way forward for mankind. Changing the traditional production and life mode. Xiefeng, February 1st, 2023. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Peter. With the development of human beings today, there are many chronic diseases that cannot be cured by the traditional production and life mode. More than 7 billion people are living on the earth and consume a large amount of resources every day, and consumption has exceeded the regeneration capacity of the earth. Rapid advances in science and technology can develop new types of energy and save resources, but ultimately, it is a drop in the bucket and cannot solve the crisis that we are facing. The chronic diseases of the entire human society are as follows. Resource consumption exceeds regeneration capacity. Everyone is a consumer of resources, not a creator of resources. In the long run, the depletion of resources is an inevitable reality, and this problem cannot be solved by relying on the traditional production and life mode. The waste of resources. A large part of what people use in food, clothing, housing, transportation, birth, old age, sickness, and death today is extravagant and unnecessary. This problem cannot be solved by legal and moral teachings. It can only be solved by changing the traditional production and life mode. Official corruption and a slothful government. There are always contradictions between officials and the people. This problem has not been resolved for thousands of years. The problem is that the traditional production and life mode are fertile soil for corruption. If the traditional production and life mode do not change, the corruption of officials and government sloth cannot be eliminated. Conflicts between ethnic groups and between countries. The competition and conflicts between different ethnic groups and nations which are caused by resource competition and ideological differences have never been resolved in history. If these conflicts cannot be resolved, huge military expenditures will not be reduced, and wars will be inevitable. The huge damage that this causes to society cannot be avoided. The only measure to solve this chronic disease lies in changing the traditional production and life mode of human beings. The gap between the rich and the poor. Due to everyone's different talents and the efforts that different people make, it is natural and normal for people to have a wealth gap between them. However, if the gap between rich and poor becomes too large, conflicts will form. The most effective way to alleviate this conflict is not legal and moral teaching, not to mention administrative orders and taxation, but to change the traditional mode of production and life. The magic of money. With money as a medium of exchange, its value and function cannot be questioned and underestimated. However, when people regard the pursuit of money as the primary motivation and purpose of survival in life, social turmoil and personal troubles and pains will be the result. How can the magic of money be eliminated? Only by changing the traditional mode of production and life. The loss of integrity. The more there are people, the fewer the resources, the more intense the competition will be, and the lower the integrity of people will be. With the loss of integrity, the cost of communication between people, countries, and special interest groups will increase infinitely. This is not only detrimental to the welfare of all the people, but also detrimental to resource conservation and social stability. How can this problem be solved? Legal and moral constraints cannot play a major role, so it can only be solved by changing the traditional mode of production and life. The disadvantages of government planning and a market economy. Facts have proved that the government's plan will take care of one thing and overlook another will lead to the impoverishment of the people. The market economy is like the law of the jungle, which will lead to the weak becoming the prey to the strong, which is not the ideal state of human life. I have thought about many options of how to make the world favorable and harmonious, and for the people to live and work in peace and contentment. Finally, it has been found that the best plan is to replace the traditional way of production and life with the new way of production and life. So, what kind of mode is the new human production and life mode? In a word, it is a full replication and copy of the production and life mode of the thousand-year world of the kingdom of heaven. The model of this new mode of production and life on earth is the production and life mode of the second home created by Life Echanuan. A brief summary of this new mode is: human beings will no longer enter the institution of marriage and family, but enter the program of the second home. Countries will disintegrate. There will be global cooperation and resource sharing. The scale of population growth will become lower than the regeneration capacity of the Earth's resources, and people will flow around the world designedly, allowing everyone to reach the state of life in the kingdom of heaven, where everyone owns nothing yet owns everything. This is not a dream, but a summary of the successful experience that has been practiced on the earth for 15 years. May every citizen of the earth get to know, think, and practice it. The connotation of the highest level of human civilization. A-Form Buddha. May 2, 2023. Edited by Peter. When human civilization enters the most advanced stage, there will be no laws, no countries, no currency, no marriage and family, and no forms of identification such as ID cards, passports, driver's licenses, work permits, medical licenses, judge certification, professor certification, and so on, and there will be no various types of business licenses. Readers may think that this is impossible. Without laws, without countries, without any identification, the whole human society will become chaotic. For example, if there are no driver's licenses, People who don't understand traffic rules will also drive on the road and will inevitably cause traffic accidents. I want to say that we cannot imagine the form and operating mode of the highest level of human civilization society with the current consciousness and living environment of people, but we can imagine that when everyone is selfless and exudes the nature of truth, goodness, beauty, love, sincerity, and trust from within, all the disputes in the world will be melted away. The unskilled driver will not drive on the road because he loves others more than he loves himself. Perhaps some readers may think that people cannot completely achieve unselfishness and selflessness, but in fact, when the traditional production and life mode of society will be replaced by the second home mode, people will find that the more unselfish and selfless they are, the more they will enjoy the joy and beauty of life and life to the greatest extent. We have proven this through 14 years of this production and life mode in practice. Without countries, laws, and marriage and family, will everything become chaotic? No. When we emulate the thousand-year world mode, we will find that the higher the degree of freedom, the more civilized people will become. The more restrictions and constraints, the more people's selfishness, greed, and opportunism will be stimulated. Moreover, when tens of millions of second homes are born on the earth, people will choose to enter these homes to live in, and all the homes will operate according to universal values and the way of nature. All people on earth will become members of this big family of homes, and no matter what they do, whether it is power generation, farming, clothing production, education of children, shepherding on the grassland, or technological innovation in the laboratory, people from all walks of life will become members of the Earth family. Without currency and private property, everyone will freely use their intelligence and talents, and all the issues of food, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and death will be resolved by this big family. No one would want to keep currency or have private property. Each second home has 30 to 300 members, and each member rotates to work and live in another home for 3 years. When people around the world start to flow freely, there will be no more national, party, religious, or cultural barriers, and any turmoil and war will no longer occur. Hunger will also disappear, and the probability of theft, robbery, corruption, fraud, and deception will become negligible. I am very sure that everyone must have 100,000 questions in their hearts about this, but I can tell you that I have thought of all the problems you are worried about, and I know the solutions. I can also tell you accurately that no one's thinking in the world today is deeper than mine, and no one's solution to solving problems is superior to mine. Even if the Eastern saint that everyone is looking forward to comes, it will not surpass my theory and practice. Humanity has only one bright future ahead, which is to follow what I say, because no matter how intelligent a person may be, they cannot escape the 36-8 diagram arrays. Only by following the path I guide you on can we have the most wonderful future. The efficiency, depth, and breadth of life. Xiefeng. July 16, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Most people should be geniuses in a certain field, but most people are mediocre and find their goals to be unachievable throughout their lives. The reason is that they are forced by life and cannot engage in the work they like, and their entire lives are consumed in their trivial daily affairs. We analyzed housewives statistically. Few housewives have achieved success in their careers because they are submerged in daily trivial housework. We asked an elderly woman, "What have you done in your life?" She could hardly list any examples that she can be proud of. In fact, she has a lot of work to do every day: cooking, washing, taking children out, purchasing, cleaning, and visiting relatives and friends. Countless daily tasks almost dragged her down, and in the end, she found that she had accomplished nothing in her life. Of course, I do not advocate that all people become the best, glorify and illuminate their ancestors, and be successful, much less advocate that all people be extraordinary and live their whole life gloriously. I just want people to live a life that is a little more comfortable, cool, relaxed, and free. Then, how to achieve this wish? Do only one thing in your life. This is a truth that I have recently realized. In the past 10 years or so, I have spent my life being a guide for Life Genuine and have not done anything else. Thus, I have finished writing articles comprised of millions of words and created more than a dozen picturesque human homes based on the new life model. But in the last 2 or 3 months, I have done so many tasks which are too miscellaneous that I have hardly anything to show for it. Every day, I get up at 5 o'clock, browse the internet for half an hour, and quickly wash and prepare breakfast for the guests. Even if there are only 2 guests, it takes me at least 2.5 hours from preparation to completion. During these 2.5 hours, I must do at least 20 things or more. After the guests have left, I clean up the room. From cleaning the toilet and bathroom sink, wiping tables and chairs, changing the sheets, pillowcases, and 3 sets of large, medium, and small towels, until cleaning the carpet, there are more than 10 things to do. In addition, it takes an average of more than 2 hours a day to clean up the yard. It is not easy to mow the lawn of 10 acres of land neatly and beautifully. I also need to answer the phone at any time to answer questions from the guests, and to take garbage to the dump more than 10 kilometers away from time to time, to go to over 30 kilometers away to make purchases, to keep the restaurant clean and tidy at all times, to keep records of the income and expenditures at any time for the preparation of the quarterly accounting and tax payment, to pay the fees every month, internet fees, TV fees, mobile phone number fees, medical care insurance premiums, gas bills, electricity bills, etc. In addition to these daily tasks, I must deal with unexpected occurrences anytime and anywhere. I am thinking that if I spend my whole life like this, even if I am a genius in a certain field, my talent will be buried in endless tedious affairs. Doing a lot of various kinds of work can broaden the breadth of life, but you will never reach the depth, height of life, and there will be no efficiency. Always doing one thing will be the most efficient. The more complicated and varied the things you do, the lower the efficiency. Last year, I planned that any way possible, this year I will go away once, at least to visit Prince George City, which is more than 300 kilometers away. As a result of my daily tasks, I haven't been able to achieve this goal till now. I am tightly bound to the same place and cannot leave for a while. A donkey has a blindfold over its eyes to let it grind grain. It goes around and around the millstone and will go around in circles in the same place for a lifetime. In fact, most people live in the same way as donkeys do. The donkey has to revolve around the millstone. Whether the donkey pulls the grindstone, makes the circle or not, it is not up to it. What about people? Compelled by environment and the pressures of life, people have to repeat the same work every day. All this is involuntarily, and they have no choice. Who can say that I do what I like the most every day? To make life a little more comfortable, chic, relaxed, and free, we must only do one thing in our lives, so that we can reach the depth of life. A drilling rig can only drill tens of meters at a time if it infrequently changes the drilling location. To drill to 1,000 meters or 10,000 meters, you must drill in the same hole. Only by concentrating on one goal can it be thus. Rubbing ropes against wooden boards will cut into them, and dripping water onto stones will wear them down. If we work 8 hours a day to make $100, can we make $100 in just 2 hours? I think it is possible. The way to do this is to do only one thing. The more complicated the things we do, the less money we can make. Only by doing one thing can we be relaxed and comfortable. In this way, can we have a good mood and free time to dabble in a broader field in order to expand the breadth of life. The problem is, who can do only one thing in a lifetime? If we still pursue the efficiency, depth, and breadth of life in accordance with the traditional production and life mode, for most people, it is just a beautiful and unrealistic fantasy. There is only one way to reach the goals. That is to live in the life mode of New Oasis for Life created by Life Genuine. That is the best place to realize your ideal of life. The 8 fundamental rights granted by the greatest creator to humanity. Xiefeng, the greatest creator has granted humanity 8 fundamental rights. If you do not possess them, it means someone has deprived you of your human rights. The 8 fundamental rights of being human are the right to survival, the right to create, the right to migrate, the right to speak, the right to personal autonomy, the right to thought, the right to learn, and the right to refuse. The right to survival. It is also the right to life. Every individual has the power to protect their own life and the right to survive. Anyone who prevents others from living is depriving them of their right to survival, which is equivalent to depriving them of their life. The right to create. Also known as the right to labor, every person has the right to engage in labor and creation on the land that nurtures and supports them. To prevent someone from laboring and creating is to deprive them of their right to create. The right to migrate. Also known as the right to move, people have the freedom to migrate freely on Earth according to their needs, to pursue a better life and ensure their own survival. If someone is not allowed to migrate freely, it is equivalent to migrate. The right to speak. Also known as the right to freedom of speech, the greatest creator has given each person a mouth, which is not just for eating food but also for expressing their wishes and communicating with others through speech. To prevent someone from speaking is to deprive them of their right to speak. The right to personal autonomy. Every individual has the right to freely control their own body. The body does not belong to anyone else but oneself. It is a person's right to determine how to use their own body. To prevent individuals from freely controlling their own bodies is to deprive them of their right to personal autonomy. The right to thought. Humans possess consciousness and thinking abilities. The activity of thinking leads to the formation of ideas, which is known as thought. This is an innate right. If someone is not allowed to think or is deprived of their ability to think, they would live a life no better than that of pigs, dogs, chickens, or ducks. The right to learn. People have the right to learn according to their own wishes. They can learn whatever they want, whether it is philosophy or how to cultivate crops. It is their freedom. To prevent someone from learning certain ideas and skills is to deprive them of their right to learn. The right to refuse. Each person has their own preferences and personality. When certain ideas and demands do not align with their preferences, personality, or wishes, they have the right to refuse. If someone insists on imposing certain ideas and methods on others, it is depriving them of their right to refuse. Only when a person possesses these 8 fundamental human rights can they live a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and blessedness, and the society will be peaceful and harmonious. If any of these 8 fundamental human rights are lacking, individuals will experience discomfort and suffering, and society will be filled with conflicts and disputes. Do you possess these 8 fundamental human rights? If not, you are not living as a human being. To live as a true human being, you need to strive to obtain these 8 fundamental rights bestowed by the greatest creator and reclaim your rights as a human being from those who have deprived you of them. The 8 sorrows of life. Xiefeng. Ancient wisdom states that there are 3 great sorrows in life: losing one's father in youth, losing one's wife in middle age, losing one's child in old age. I do not fully agree with this viewpoint. First, these 3 sorrows seem to be unrelated to women themselves. Second, these sorrows are not inherent but are created by human cognition and culture. My perspective on the sorrows of life is as follows. First sorrow, lack of maternal love in infancy. Second sorrow, lack of playmates and insufficient opportunities for joyful play during childhood. Third sorrow, lack of guidance on being a human during adolescence. Fourth sorrow, lack of love and the absence of establishing beliefs during youth. Time and energy are expended on the pursuit of marriage, family, and materialistic desires, including food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Fifth sorrow, stumbling in midlife. Sixth sorrow, being abandoned by family in old age. Seventh sorrow, learning the Bible in adolescence, Buddhist scriptures in youth, and the Quran in old age. Eighth sorrow, delving into cultivation methods and techniques, supernatural abilities, and metaphysics. If one of these sorrows exists, life will be filled with regrets. If 2 sorrows exist, life will be filled with resentment. If 3 sorrows exist, life will be filled with pain. If 4 sorrows exist, life will be filled with defeat. If 5 sorrows exist, life will be filled with chaos. If 6 sorrows exist, life will be filled with hatred. If 7 sorrows exist, life will be filled with suffering. If 8 sorrows exist, life will be a prison. I have the supreme method that can resolve these 8 sorrows. By following this method, the sorrows can be overcome. The 18 source causes of life's pain. Xiefeng, June 30th, translated by Tong Xin and edited by Care. Life should be joyful, happy, free, and blessed, but most people's lives not only lack joy, happiness, freedom, and blessings, but also have many troubles each day and night which stimulate pain in their hearts. We have to ask, what in hell causes the pain in life? Let me analyze the sources of pain in life and see if they are reasonable. Wrong values on value, life, and the universe. The values of value, life, life and the universe are the GPS of life. If they are correct, the life journey will gravitate toward joy, happiness, freedom, and blessings like heaven. But once they become misdirected, life will slip toward troubles, anxieties, worries, and fears like hell. For example, people die for money and birds die for food is a wrong value. If one insists on such a value, pain will fill their life. For example, every man should take a wife and every woman should take a husband once they reach adulthood. If such a value directs your life will doubtless be full of pain. For example, people just live a lifetime and then die like the light of candles going out is a wrong perception of life, since it ignores the laws of karma, cause and effect, and of reincarnation. If one accepts such values, their life will definitely be messy and as confused as flies without guidance, and they will encounter a lot of pain. For example, there is no greatest creator, no gods or Buddhas, no celestial beings, and no heaven and hell is also a wrong value of the universe. Such identification does not understand that there are mountains beyond mountains and heavens beyond heavens, and does not understand that there are 20 parallel worlds and 36-dimensional spaces. It limits one's view of spirit and soul to the narrow life field of current space so they cannot see a bright and clear future, and causes much pain in life. People who prefer to selfishly take benefits and profits only for themselves rather than serving or contributing to others and to society will definitely live painful lives. Greed. Only take 1 cup of water among thousands of rivers and lakes. If one wants to possess all rivers and lakes without restraint, their life will surely be painful. Laziness. Being lazy, preferring leisure over work, being opportunistic, and stealing other people's achievements are qualities which will inevitably lead to corruption and poorness. The result of such people is having painful lives unless they can become pigs. Jealousy. When seeing other people leading lives with better conditions or living happier, freer, and more joyful lives, one immediately has jealousy and hatred in their heart, or feels uncomfortable without reason, or cannot sit or stand peacefully, or cannot help but be mean and picky, and even wants to harm those other people. This will cause limitless pain in their own life. Complaints. When one has no clear identification of themselves, cannot see clearly their own shortcomings and disadvantages, always puts the reasons of mistakes or responsibilities on others, complains a lot, including complaints to heaven, earth, society, and other people, but never finds reasons from within, such people's lives will inevitably have pain. Comparison. The consciousness of comparison is evil. Once one starts to compare themselves against others, pain comes immediately. Being competitive and aggressive. Being competitive and aggressive, always wanting to have a better life than others, always liking to show themselves off, and always wanting to be superior to others, such people will have much pain during their whole lives. Arrogance. Those who are arrogant, wild, and proud, unable to treat people equally while always feeling superior to them, disrespectful of other people's personalities, dignity, and freedom, always speaking in a tone of teaching and superiority, revealing contempt in their eyes, and have no basic politeness, are annoying people and they will have a lot of pain. Being dependent. Not trusting in and relying on the greatest creator, not trusting in and relying on oneself, putting the hope of having a happy life without the troubles of food, shelter, clothes, transportation, birth, aging, sickness, and death on someone else, always wanting to rely on and be fed by others, and placing their spiritual prop on someone else. Such people will have lots of pain in life, too. Infatuated and poisoned love. Marital love, faithful love, pledge of eternal love, and voluntarily suffering love are all poisonous love. Once one owns poisonous love, their life is inevitably painful. Possession and occupation. Once one owns something, they will definitely taste pain. The more one owns, the more pain will come. In order to possess something, one must spend their time, energy, and heart to own it successfully. In order to maintain all they have, they need to think thoroughly to find the solution. In order to occupy for as long a time as they can, they have to cheat, fight, intrigue against others, and even join life and death struggles. How can such a life not be painful? Chase for fame and profits. Life is only one journey of life in the human world. If one struggles fiercely and competes seriously in such a short time, which is like the illusion of a flower blossom, and chases for fame and profits all the time, his life will be surely full of pain. Attachment, whether it is money, rights and privileges, fame, positions, or people. As long as one attachments to things, one cannot have an independent consciousness and his own opinion. He will speak and act according to other people's opinions or wills and become a suffering slaver or puppet. Want to change or control others. All life beings have their own natures. Rivers and mountains can be changed, but it is hard to alter a person's nature. If one tries to change or control others by his own interests, habits, characters, and wills, tries to have others live according to his own will, it will surely bring unhappiness to both sides and cause many pains in life. Depart from the way of nature. Departing from the original intention of the greatest creator, suppressing one's nature and love, and trying to resist nature to attain supernatural power, trying to attain special abilities, and living life without following the way of nature is just like hurling eggs against stones. Such life will definitely be painful. Violating laws and disciplines. Countries can disappear, but government cannot. In order to maintain the efficient and harmonious operation of society, governments must require their citizens to obey conventions, that is the Constitution, laws, rules, and disciplines. If people do not obey the conventions, but often violate laws and disciplines, and even commit crimes, it will surely cause painful lives. The consciousnesses of marriage, family, nation, political parties, religions, and organizations. Once people have the above consciousnesses, once they enter into the programs of marriage, family, nation, political parties, religions, and organizations, their lives will definitely suffer. The future of humanity should be like this. Deiform Buddha. Archaeologists, through scientific exploration and research, believe that humanity has faced extinction 4 times. The primary reasons for extinction were the overall spiritual degradation and dimming of human heart. The core factors of spiritual degradation were the pursuit of sensory pleasures, the relentless quest for power, and the competition for survival resources. The main signs of dimming heart were the disregard for the Creator, the lack of appreciation for natural resources and life. The current human society teeters on the cliff of spiritual degradation and dimming hearts again. Its main characteristics include an obsessive pursuit of wealth, boundless greed, extravagant squandering, insatiable desires, and a frenzy for competing for survival resources, comparable to the levels preceding the 4 previous human extinctions. Humanity faces an imminent crisis. I am pointing out the path for humanity to ponder its future. Choosing the path of socialist collectivization means that the toiling masses can only live in poverty, but the overall human lifespan will extend. Opting for the capitalist path of market-oriented capitalism means that the toiling masses can lead affluent lives, but the overall human lifespan will shorten. Neither socialism nor capitalism is an ideal path. The socialist collectivization path inevitably leads to poverty, while the capitalist market-oriented path, although bringing affluence and maximal development of productivity, will deplete natural resources, leading to a backlash from nature. Other paths, such as military control, are purely barbaric and will result in poverty and societal chaos. The most ideal path for the future of humanity is Xiefeng-style communism. Please note, it is not the communism advocated and practiced by Marx, Lenin, Mao Zedong, but Xiefeng-style communism. Xiefeng-style communism has been practiced on Earth for 15 years, which can permanently solve nearly 90% of the challenges humanity faces, such as territorial disputes between nations and elder support issues, among others. The more extensive and detailed the content and clauses in constitutions, laws, and regulations, the more problems will arise. More management personnel lead to higher societal operational costs. Therefore, all constitutions, laws, and regulations should be abolished and replaced with values for the orderly functioning of society. To this end, I have prepared 800 values for new era humanity. To live a happy life and ensure the continued existence of humanity on Earth, all humans must undergo a spiritual purification. I have also prepared the course for spiritual purification for humanity. The future of humanity, Xiefeng-style communism. Xiefeng, reviewing history, whether in Europe, Africa, Asia, the Americas, or Oceania, the recurring themes have been war, hunger, disease, turmoil, and various natural disasters. No nation, no individual has lived a life filled with joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss. The historical facts of the past 5,000 years of the current human civilization tell us that nations, religions, political parties, money, and power cannot solve the suffering of humanity. Instead, they not only fail to solve it, but also increase the burden and suffering of humanity. Since nations, religions, political parties, money, and power cannot alleviate human suffering and, in fact, add to it, the logical solution is for nations to disappear, for religions to vanish, for political parties to cease, for money to be eliminated, and for power to be eradicated. Will humanity revert to a primitive era, tribal times, or city-states if nations, religions, political parties, money, and power disappear? The answer is a resounding no. As the overall cognitive level of humanity has risen, technology has advanced, thinking has become more dynamic, knowledge and wisdom have reached unprecedented levels. People no longer wish to regress to the past, just as an increasing number of individuals are reluctant to enter the marital and familial hardships. In the absence of nations, religions, political parties, money, and power, where will humanity go? The answer is, towards the era of Life-Genuine, also known as Xiefeng-style communism, or the kingdom of the greatest creator. In Life-Genuine era, within the Xiefeng-style communism program, there will be no nations, religions, political parties, money, power, marriages, or families. In Life-Genuine era, under the program of Xiefeng-style communism, there will be no constitutions, laws, or regulations. Instead, individuals will adhere to a set of values guiding their conduct. In Xiefeng-style communism, resources are shared worldwide. Everyone possesses nothing yet owns everything, and individuals, unselfish and selfless, create the most magnificent symphony of life. Can't imagine it? Impossible? In the universe, there is nothing that is impossible. There are only things that one cannot imagine and thoughts one cannot conceive, but nothing is truly impossible. All material phenomena are the outcomes of consciousness. The essence of the world lies in the formless manifestations. If the above is considered mere conceptual and theoretical exploration, termed as fantasy utopian communism, I assert the future of humanity is the Xiefeng-style communism because it is backed by the practical activity of Life-Genuine, a new model of human production and life, the second home, which started in April 2009 and has been successfully running for 15 years with a wealth of information available, textual, visual, and video descriptions in the online world. To enter the Xiefeng-style communist lifestyle, everything is possible, but the biggest challenge is that all of humanity needs a profound spiritual purification, a monumental and challenging undertaking. The core of spiritual purification lies in the construction of the human soul garden. The main task of building the soul garden is to uproot negative and pessimistic psychological and emotional elements such as greed, jealousy, comparison, selfishness, laziness, complaints, hatred, and ego from the human heart. Despite people's beliefs or willingness, the program has already been initiated. The future of humanity is Xiefeng-style communism. 6. The future of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. We all look forward to an era where everyone will have a happy and worry-free life. Let's suppose the greatest creator and gods do not exist. Are we able to realize this dream only by relying on the wisdom of humanity? The answer is no. Without the guide of the greatest creator and the power of gods and Buddhas, human beings is not possible to realize this beautiful dream. How many authorities will step aside for others? How many rich men will contribute all their wealth to society? How many poor people will work hard except having more children as long as they don't need to worry about food? Let's imagine if the future of humanity is ruled by one religion, what will happen? It would be terrible. Please think of the reason yourself. If the world is ruled by one secular government, what will happen? Same. Autocracy and incompetency will soak up the blood of the underprivileged. If we keep current situation, different religions exist, countries act on their own will, everything is decided by the country itself, what will happen? The world is going to collapse. So, what will be the best living situation of humanity? The core in short is, walk on the way of the greatest creator. Build a non-interference government, promoting freedom in politics, economy, culture, thinking, and spiritual pursuit. Then, the future of humanity will be like the following. All religions will gradually disappear. Humans revere the same and the only greatest creator. Wars between nations will no longer take place. No country will have a military force. The leaders of each country are elected by its people. Election is no longer manipulated by the minority. Each leader serves no longer than 2 terms. The population will no longer be increasing unlimitedly. The growth of population will be controlled. Power and wealth are no longer the most important life goals of humans. People will not talk about how to fight with nature and men. The earth will become a place where all life beings coexist harmoniously. Terrorist activities are going to disappear. Crimes will be decreasing year by year. The care of elders and the education of the youth will become the responsibilities of the whole society, which are no longer private affairs of individuals or families. Family life is going to dissolve. Relationship of men and women is going to show diverse forms. Scientists and artists will be respected by the general. Manual labor is not regarded as a less decent job. A common bill of rights will be made. Journalists will have greater freedom. The force of darkness in some regions will be curbed. A lazy person will be regarded as miserable and incompetent. A parasite-like lifestyle will be seen as a pity. Humans will be able to make new form of life. Intelligent robots will come into being. Sahara will be returning to green again. A large number of supermen will appear. They discover the secret of brain and find the channel to communicate with the greatest creator, and therefore they know the secret of time and space, the cause and effect relationship of lives transiting in different time and space, the secret of thinking, the power of mind, and the road towards higher level life space. These supermen will bring the material and spiritual life of humanity to a brand new level. There will not be nature disasters anymore. Earthquakes, floods, diseases will all vanish. Earth becomes a blessed paradise, which will be serene and harmonious, prosperous and vibrant. Cranes are flying in the sky. People are healthy and have a long life. Everyone live in peace and enjoy their job. In conclusion, human beings will enter an unprecedented, highly developed and civilized era, an era with happiness, abundance, and freedom. Everyone will transform to a celestial at the end. We will understand all secrets by that time. Each moment of our life will be extremely joyful. We will meet our family and friends who have passed away. A brilliant new life will start to unfold. However, there is a prerequisite, which is we must walk on the way of the greatest creator. If we ignore it, everything will be developing in the opposite direction. The future of mankind. Xiefeng. March 15, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The future of mankind lies in Xiefeng-style communism, a future that may be realized within the next 20 years. The evidence is as follows. The first is natural laws. Natural laws operate independently of human will. Regardless of how great an individual is, or how powerful a country or group may be, they cannot resist natural laws. It's akin to the inevitability of death, which is beyond resistance. All measures and methods that attempt to resist natural laws will inevitably end in failure. New things will invariably replace old ones. Who can still see ox carts and horse carts on bustling streets? None, because automobiles have replaced them. Marriage and family are set to disappear. They are the crystallization of the production relations of the traditional era. As humans enter the network era, people's social relations become extremely complex and vast. The traditional family, once a haven, in turn, becomes the biggest burden and obstacle to personal development and change. Therefore, with people's awakening and the demand for improving the quality and taste of life, people will gradually distance themselves from marriage and family. An astonishing factor is that Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the celestial Laozi have never advocated for marriage and family. Organizational control will come to an end. Before the advent of the internet, the government and major media controlled public opinion. In the internet era, everyone has the potential to influence public opinion in a self-media way. A self-media influencer with millions of fans may even surpass the public opinion influence and even the appeal of a government. We will find that people no longer pay attention to what the government says, but will pay more and more attention to what those self-media influencers say. If this state continues to develop, a country's organizational ability and appeal will gradually disintegrate, and the disintegration and disappearance of the country will be inevitable. Resource sharing will become a common consensus among people. We all know a general principle that is, the higher the degree of sharing of things, the greater its value. A person, the more people he serves, the greater his value. A park, the more visitors it has, the greater its value. A sum of money, the faster its circulation and the more hands it passes through, the greater its value. A region, the more people come and go, the greater its value, and the more civilized and developed it will be. The call for enjoying old age will become louder and louder. Everyone will age, and how to spend one's old age will be a problem that everyone will think about. Traditional old age models, such as relying on children for support, relying on nursing homes for old age, etc., are no longer suitable for the needs of human civilization development. New types of old age methods will be born, and allowing everyone to enjoy their old age will become a common wish and demand of mankind. The accelerated development of artificial intelligence will force people to live collectively. With the gradual penetration of artificial intelligence into people's daily life, a large number of people will lose their jobs. Faced with the rapid changes, individual abilities and knowledge and skills are no longer able to cope with the rapidly changing times. Only by living collectively can we cope with the diverse objective needs. Free migration within the global scope is a goal that everyone aspires to. The occurrence of hunger, war, and turmoil is mainly due to the fact that people are restricted to a specific area and cannot move. When all Earth's citizens have the freedom to migrate like migratory birds, many disasters can be avoided. Free migration can break down the barriers and gaps of regional culture and ethnic culture, fostering a sense of global integration among people. This sense will eventually lead everyone to love the Earth, our common home. When marriage and family disappear, when nations disintegrate, when people have the freedom to migrate globally, when an increasing number of self-media outlets emerge like bamboo shoots after a rain, when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence and problem-solving abilities, and when a large number of people are unemployed with nothing to do, one may ask, which existing system and culture in the world today can solve and handle these extremely complex problems? The answer is, no country, party, religion, or organization can handle it. The only path for mankind is Xiefeng-style communism, the highest realm of life. Xiefeng. Last night, the west wind withered the green trees. Alone, I ascended the high tower, gazing at the distant road to the end of the sky. The belt of my robe is gradually getting looser, but I do not regret it. It is for him that I've grown pale. Amidst the crowd, searching for him countless times, suddenly I turned my head, and there he was, at the dimly lit crossroads. These are the three realms of life discussed by the great scholar Wang Guowei in his work, Words in the World. At 30, one stands on their own. At 40, they are no longer perplexed. At 50, they understand their destiny. At 60, their ears are obedient. At 70, they follow their heart's desires without overstepping bounds. These are the life realms according to Confucius, the sage of China. Opening up the south wilderness, tending to the simple and returning to the field. Rising early to cleanse the wilderness, carrying the hoe under the moon, diligently working in the early hours, returning with the plow at sunset. Dogs bark deep in the lanes, roosters crow on top of mulberry trees. Picking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, leisurely seeing the southern mountains. These are the realms of life according to Tao Yuanming: heavenly realm, human realm, and earthly realm. The realm of gods with goodness, no desires, wisdom, and no illnesses is the heavenly realm. The realm with the 7 emotions, 6 desires, birth, aging, illness, and death, and the troubles of desires is the human realm. The realm of monsters, demons, ghosts, and goblins is the earthly realm. These are the 3 realms of life in Taoism. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm represent the worlds inhabited by sentient beings with desires, encompassing lust, emotions, physical desires, and food desires, which belong to the desire realm. The world that transcends desire yet retains material existence and is inhabited by sentient beings with pure physical forms belongs to the form realm. The world inhabited by sentient beings devoid of material substance, existing solely with the 4 mental aggregates of sensation, thought, action, and consciousness, is the formless realm. These constitute the 3 realms of life in Buddhism. Falling leaves fill the empty mountains. Where do I find your footprints? Empty mountains, no one around, the water flows, and the flowers bloom. The vast sky endures through the ages, but the wind and moon only last a moment. These are the 3 realms of life in Zen Buddhism: satisfying physiological needs, security needs, emotional needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. According to American psychologist Abraham Maslow, these are life realms from low to high. Realms indicate the spiritual and mental heights of a person, reflecting the essence, taste, quality, and value of their life. As the life and life guide in Life of Chanyuan, what kind of realm do I aim to help the Chanyuan Celestials achieve as the highest in their lives? No debts, owing neither money to anyone nor emotional obligations, going with the flow and living freely. Free from any worries, there are no concerns about sustenance, lodging, travel, or the cycle of birth and death. The mind abides nowhere, holds no attachments, and experiences profound serenity and joy. Without desires or wants, simply flowing with nature, feeling content regardless of location or activity. When the wind rustles through the bamboo leaves no trace. When geese pass over a cold pond, the pond shows no shadow, neither concerned about poverty nor eager for wealth. Non-contention with the world, no judgments or evaluations of the people and the world. As if one is watching the world of mundane affairs like an ant kingdom. Everything follows its nature, naturally, without trying to change anything. Let wolves be wolves and sheep be sheep. Do not try to turn wolves into sheep or sheep into wolves. The course of life, what's it like, I wonder? Perhaps like a wild goose treading snow-mired paths. In passing, it may leave a mark on the mud, but the goose flies on without looking back. Meanwhile, throughout one's life, behold the world of truth, goodness, and beauty. Ignore the phenomena of falsehood, evil, and ugliness. Harmony with heaven, merging with the Tao, uniting with heaven, earth, and all things, without self or form, being flexible, harmonious in stillness and motion, and advancing and retreating effortlessly. Abundant soul wealth, abundant spiritual wealth, and abundant material wealth. Accumulating abundant treasures in heaven, knowing your future is extremely broad and brilliant, understanding that your life's future resides in the picturesque, heavenly high-level space, strictly adhering to the way of the greatest creator, biting the blue mountain and refusing to let go. Its roots are firmly embedded within the shattered rocks. Despite 1,000 strikes and 10,000 blows, it remains unyielding against the winds blowing from all directions. Regardless of how the wind blows and the waves surge, it's better than taking a leisurely stroll in a courtyard. Above is the highest realm of life I want to guide the Chanyuan Celestials to reach. With no debts, no concerns for the future, no desires, non-contention with the world, harmony with heaven, unity with the Tao, 3 types of abundant wealth, treasures in heaven, and strict adherence to the way of the greatest creator. Having a realm indicates that a person tends towards nobility and elegance. Without a realm, a person tends towards vulgarity and coarseness. The higher the realm, the greater the spiritual and mental freedom one gains. The lower the realm, the easier it is for a person to be entangled in worldly matters and deceived by fleeting appearances, resulting in less freedom. Climbing to the highest realm of life, and life is the direction we are striving for and the goal we want to achieve. After 3 years of practice in the second home of Life Echanuan, we climb to the middle of the mountain. It is certain that as long as we live in the second home for 8 years, 80% of the Chanyuan celestials will surely realize their dreams and achieve their most beautiful ideals. The realm of Chanyuan celestials is very high, and Chanyuan celestials' future of life and life is very beautiful. The inevitable trend of robots surpassing human intelligence. Xiefeng. April 1st, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. While exploring the origin of the greatest creator and the genesis of consciousness, I discovered a cosmic mystery. Structure generates consciousness. In other words, consciousness is born from the structure of material or non-material. As long as material or non-material forms a certain structure, consciousness will be born within this structure. The simpler the structure of material or non-material, the weaker the consciousness it produces. The more complex the structure of material and non-material, the stronger the consciousness it produces. We use the universally accepted term IQ for a rough analysis. The average human IQ is 100. If the IQ is below 100, individuals appear somewhat dull, and their cognitive abilities are somewhat deficient. If the IQ exceeds 100, individuals appear smart and nimble, and their cognitive abilities are exceptional. If the IQ exceeds 110, it is generally considered genius. If the IQ exceeds 160, this individual is considered a godlike existence. The IQ of the desk we use is about 3, the IQ of the house we live in is about 10, the IQ of a small car is about 20, the IQ of mobile phones and computers is about 25, the IQ of a civil airliner is about 30, the IQ of plants is about 40, the IQ of insects is about 45, and the IQ of animals is about 50. Now, everyone understands the truth that all things have spirits, right? Because any object has consciousness, even stones, land, mountains, rivers, etc., have consciousness. As long as there is consciousness, there is spirit. So all things have spirits. The essence of feng shui is structure. What feng shui masters focus on is the structure of the residential house and the terrain structure of the residence, because different structures have different consciousness, and different consciousness has different effects on people. The difference in IQ between people is mainly due to the difference in non-material structure. The material structure of the human body is basically the same, so the difference between people is definitely not the difference in material structure, but the difference in non-material structure, that is, the difference in thoughts, cognition, knowledge, experience, feelings, etc. The more knowledge a person absorbs, the more experiences and feelings they have, the longer the thinking time, the higher the person's IQ. One thing that needs to be affirmed is that because life is like the alternation of seasons, it is endless, so people are born with differences. We cannot deny the role and value of the accumulation of IQ in a life's past lives on the foundation of IQ at birth. Everyone knows the chip, which can be roughly understood as an integrated circuit. The more transistors a silicon chip of a certain size, such as a silicon chip the size of a fingernail, accommodates, the more complex the chip structure. The more complex the structure, the stronger its consciousness, and the higher its IQ. The chip in 1958 only had 5 components, and the IQ of this chip was not even as good as a clock. Subsequently, a chip of the same size accommodated dozens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and hundreds of millions of components. Today's chips have 15 billion transistors, and their complexity has surpassed humans. Once all the knowledge accumulated in human history is input into this chip, the IQ of this chip will far exceed humans. If this chip is installed on a robot, the robot will not only have autonomous consciousness, but also know how to handle and solve problems. Structure generates consciousness. This is a new discovery of Life Echanuan and the first time this concept has been proposed in human history. Based on this concept, it is an inevitable trend for robots to surpass human intelligence. In the future, perhaps within the next decade, the inevitability of robots taking over the Earth and replacing humans will occur. The problem facing humans now is not to wishfully think that humans can rule robots. What humans need to think about is, how can humans continue to reproduce and survive under the management of artificial intelligence robots? The magical power of faith and hope. Xiefeng. March 21, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. On September 9, 2019, the World Health Organization reported that, on average, 800,000 people commit suicide globally every year. According to statistical analysis, the number of suicide attempts is 20 times that of completed suicides. Suicide is a result of losing faith and hope. The impact of suicide and suicide attempts on people is estimated at 4 individuals affected per person, resulting in 64 million people worldwide experiencing extreme suffering annually. If we add the suffering caused by diseases, conflicts, poverty, wars, and disasters, it's safe to say that, not exaggerating, 2 to 3 billion people live in pain every year. We cannot turn a blind eye to this. We must liberate people from suffering. The way to liberation is through faith and hope, because faith and hope have a miraculous power. In a major earthquake in Los Angeles, 14 children were rescued 36 hours after the quake. The core factor behind their rescue was the faith and hope of one child and his father. The father once told his son, "No matter what happens, I will be with you." The son's faith and hope were, "My father will come to save me." This belief and hope infected the other 13 children, helping them survive the dangerous period of fear and despair and ultimately being rescued. On August 5, 2010, a collapse occurred at the San Jose copper mine in northern Chile. 33 miners were trapped 700 meters underground, and those above ground didn't know if they were alive or dead. The 33 miners managed to take refuge in a shelter, but their situation was dire. The shelter held only enough food for 2 to 3 days, yet they persisted for a full 17 days. They survived by consuming just 2 spoonfuls of canned fish per day per person. How did they manage to survive until they were finally rescued on the 69th day? The answer is faith and hope. In times of despair, as long as one holds onto faith and hope, there is a chance to transform danger into safety. In today's era, one of the best examples of maintaining faith and hope is the Chanyuan Celestials of Life-Chanyuan. A group of ordinary people, more than 100 in number, began living together in a communist model since 2009. Over the past 11 years, they have faced repeated hardships. They built 3 idyllic paradises in Yunnan province. Due to the government's lack of understanding, they were driven out of their homes, and their more than 20 million yuan in property went to waste. They then built a home in Nanjing, only to be evicted again by the government. Meanwhile, they created 3 homes in Xinjiang, only to be driven out again. Returning to Yunnan, they built 3 more homes, only to face hardship once more and be forced out. The group exhausted its funds, feeling that there was no place for them in the world. However, they overcame these difficulties and persisted until today. Several more homes have been rebuilt. Especially the 2 homes in Thailand received support from local temple abbots. The home building in Canada was delayed due to the pandemic but remains standing. Despite being in dire straits, we did not lose hope. We did not stop moving forward because our faith remained unshaken and our hope never turned into despair. We firmly believe that the greatest creator will not abandon us. We believe in the justice of the Tao. We believe that the government's lack of understanding is only temporary, and we believe that, as long as there are no unlawful or unruly acts, the government will one day understand and allow us to live according to the communist model. Additionally, our profound understanding of countless secrets of the universe, time, space, and life has filled us with immense hope and confidence in the future. Without the support of faith and hope, Life-Chanyuan would have long vanished. From the practical experience of Life-Chanyuan New Oasis for Life, we have gained a profound understanding. As long as all of humanity embarks on the way of the greatest creator, the path of Life-Chanyuan, and enter into the Xiefeng style, communist form production in life, the 800,000 people won't commit suicide every year, and the suffering of hundreds of millions of people will not only be alleviated, but may even disappear entirely. The entire human race should embrace one faith. Life Genuine can save humanity and rescue people from the sea of suffering. The entire human race should hold on to one hope. As long as Life Genuine exists, the beautiful life that humanity dreams of will undoubtedly come. The meaning of life. Xiefeng. The meaning of life lies in how to extend our life to higher-level life spaces, which is to seek the Tao and become a celestial being. Without understanding this, life will be a state of confusion, impermanence, tragedy, brevity, and suffering. With this understanding, life will be clear, enduring, a comedy, eternal, and happy. Due to the opposition between gods, human nature also contains two opposing sides, righteousness and evil. Every person, upon introspection, will find that they are a unity of gods and demons, and it depends on which aspect we develop toward. Developing toward righteousness can lead to becoming a celestial being or a Buddha. Lacking clear moral direction, we continue to be human, while developing toward evil makes us become animals. To maintain the relative stability of the universe, the greatest creator regulated everything in the universe and placed spirituality within all beings. Spirituality is the source of life, and the greatest creator is the sole source of the essence of life. The law of energy conservation and the law of the indestructibility of life are universal principles in the cosmos. According to these laws, we understand that the total number of species on Earth remains constant. Every species has a natural upper limit to its population. When it develops to a certain number that threatens the survival of other species, it will inevitably decline. If one species increases, another will decrease. When the human population reaches a certain limit, it will no longer increase. However, the problem is where the increasing human population comes from and where the decreasing populations of other animals go. The law states that everything has a spirit. In terms of spirituality, all beings are equal. The value of a wolf on Earth is no different from that of a sheep. The role of a human on Earth is no different from that of a monkey or a bee. The value of a peach tree is the same as that of a willow tree, and roses and grass are equally valuable. The difference lies in the quality of spirituality each possesses. For example, with the same type of stone, if its hardness reaches 10, it becomes a diamond. With a hardness of 9, it becomes a ruby or sapphire. With a hardness of 8.5, it becomes a cat's eye. With a hardness of 8, it becomes yellow sapphire or spinel. With a hardness of 7.5 to 8, it becomes aquamarine or zircon. With a hardness of 7.5, it becomes emerald or green sapphire. This hardness continues to decrease, resulting in tourmaline, quartz, amethyst, garnet, olivine, jadeite, wood fossil, soft jade, euclase, moonstone, sunstone, turquoise, etc. With hardness ranging from 3.5 to 5, it becomes shoyu jade, pearls, peacocks, corals, and so forth, all the way down to granite and common pebbles. Similarly, based on the quality of spirituality that each possesses, one can evolve from achieving Buddhahood or becoming a celestial being to becoming a human, crane, tortoise, dog, horse, ox, sheep, pig, flying bird, or walking beast, and so on. The same stone, such as aquamarine, can be divided into various grades based on its refractive index, specific gravity, color, transparency, brightness, and the pattern of its crystalline structure. The same applies to people, who can be divided into ignorant people, worldly people, mortals, sages, and saints based on their disposition, education, knowledge, wisdom, and level of civilization. Human beings are composed of a material body and a spiritual soul. After death, the physical body, which originates from energy, returns to energy. The spiritual soul, on the other hand, comes from the greatest creator, and it is eternal and indestructible, undergoing a cycle of reincarnation. This cycle is determined by a person's actions during their human life, specifically, the purity of their spiritual soul after the physical body's death. Depending on this, the spiritual soul can ascend to become a Buddha or celestial, continue as a human, or descend to become a bird or a beast. Therefore, The increase in the human population on Earth comes from other species, and some animals transform into humans. Now that we understand the position and predicament of humans, we must know that humans on Earth are under the guardianship of two opposing gods. We are faced with two completely different choices every day and every moment. One path requires us to sacrifice our immediate interests to pursue perfect humanity, with a focus on spiritual life and an increase in the quality of spirituality, ultimately leading to the thousand-year world. The other path requires us to pursue material enjoyment at all costs, maximize material wealth and social status through competition, without considering any illusory afterlife. Because righteousness and evil coexist within human nature, our lives are always filled with contradictions and suffering, regardless of how we conduct ourselves. Being kind, honest, upright, and diligent does not guarantee immediate rewards in this lifetime, just as being evil, deceitful, cunning, or lazy doesn't necessarily lead to a difficult life. Misfortunes and disasters can befall both the wicked and the righteous. Even if we continuously pray, make offerings, and refrain from wrongdoing, there is no guarantee of wealth, well-being for our descendants, or freedom from illness. It's important to understand that our every word, action, and behavior have an impact on our spiritual essence, which will influence our next life. Therefore, we shouldn't use worldly success or failure to judge our moral standards. We should not imitate someone who engages in wrongdoing but still hold high positions, enjoy wealth, and have prosperous descendants. We should also refrain from mocking someone who dedicates their days to reciting scriptures and worshiping deities, yet experience poverty and hardship. Our brief human existence is merely a transitional phase, and its significance lies in our pursuit of spiritual enlightenment and ascension. Human society can be likened to an alchemical furnace, where gold is refined into celestials, and the remaining impurities are classified accordingly. The mode of the new oasis for life will solve 21 difficulties that mankind is facing. Xiefeng, June 27, 2020. Translated by Treasure and edited by Care. Whether we call it Utopia, New Eden Garden, Kingdom of the Greatest Creator, or Xiefeng-style communism, Lifechanuan's new mode of production and life in the new oasis for life will solve these 21 problems that have been handed to us over thousands of years of human history. It will free women from their daily trivial chores forever. The elderly will lead their happiest lives in old age, whether they have children and receive pensions or not. The phenomenon of orphans will disappear forever. All children will lead lives full of love and care and will be well educated. The phenomena of people remaining unattached and lonely will disappear forever. Domestic violence will disappear completely. The conflicts among religions and belief systems will end forever. Political parties will have no purpose, so competitions among them will disappear. All people will be able to travel throughout the world freely and without restrictions. Military expenditures will be reduced to zero because there will be no militaries. Border and land disputes between states will no longer exist. Regional and ethnic conflicts will no longer exist and peace will abound everywhere. Drug abuse and gambling will disappear completely. Official corruption will disappear completely, as officials will have neither need nor ways to corrupt. No wealth disparities will exist, as everyone will have everything yet own nothing. Courts, lawyers, and legal systems will die out gradually as they will no longer be needed. Criminal activities will be reduced by 3/4 and security will be greatly enhanced. The population will stabilize without sharp increase and decrease and will be in balance with planetary resources. Atmospheric pollution as well as that in all water and on the earth will disappear. Extinction of species will end and many lost ones will return. Climatic disasters will no longer occur and distinct seasons with consistent climate will become normal. At least half of the people will sublimate into angels, bodhisattvas, celestial beings, and Buddhas. Do not take this as a joke or myth or consider it an armchair strategy. It has been the firm evidence of Lifechanuan's theories and the model of the new oasis for life which have been existing and developing for 10 years. It is the ideal that mankind can fully realize. Whether you wish or not, and believe it or not, mankind has been bound to and is entering into the Lifechanuan era. Everything is running according to procedure. The origin of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. Where do human beings come from? There have been some sayings. Pango created the heaven and earth. Nuwa created men using clay. In Chinese mythology, Pango and Nuwa are the god and goddess who created the world. Prometheus made men out of mud and stole fire from heaven for humans. Ram-headed god Khnum molded men from clay at a potter's wheel, and goddess Hecate breathed life into the new body, and they two together made new lives. God created man using clay according his own image. Celestials came to the earth. Human beings were created by aliens. Humans were evolved gradually from single-cell organisms. However, the most influential sayings are evolutionism and the story of how God created man in Bible. The awkwardness of evolutionism. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long. The awkwardness of evolutionism. According to the theory of evolution, humans were evolved from apes, and apes could possibly be evolved from rabbits, and rabbis from worms. Worms could be evolved from microbes. Microbes from single-cell organisms, which could possibly come into being by accidents in the sea, the vast, organic, and fertile soup. Evolution is the result of inheritance, mutation, and natural selection. Evolution is a slow and gradual process. Evolution is in accordance with the natural selection, the law of jungle and survival of the fittest. But is this really the truth? The process of one organism evolves to another organism is a very long process. A rabbit can't evolve to a monkey overnight. One seed, from germination, growth, flowering, fruiting to decline, there is a process. Any step of process could not be skipped. If we take picture of the seed every day, we will be able to see the slow and gradual process of its change. Evolutionism firmly believes that humans are evolved from apes. There must be a slowly changing process and some intermediates. That is to say, from an ape to a man, it should at least have some steps of intermediates. It is impossible that an ape will leap to a man. So where are those intermediates? What are they? In 1924, scientists found fossils which they called Australopithecus africanus, southern ape of Africa, near the famous diamond town, Kimberley, South Africa. Later, they found more Australopithecus boisé. It is also called Eastern African, Australopithecus afrensis, Australopithecus garhi, etc. Particularly, they think Java man was the intermediate between ape and human. Based on these facts, evolutionists self-deceivingly claimed that they had made great achievements. But please don't be too satisfied. Self-entertaining will not bring joys to others. According to the calculation based on molecular biology, it was between 4 and 5 million years ago when men and apes separated. So from 4 million years ago till the time of earliest historical records, how human beings evolved. Were there any processes or intermediates? If not, does that mean evolution stopped at the stage? If yes, please show the evidence. Again, I want to ask evolutionists, which animal were apes evolved from? Can you please give us evidences too? How can you prove that the 4 million years old fossils you found are the ancestors of humanity? Just because their shapes look alike? Can you prove that chicken is the ancestor of swan because you found a few chicken bones? At the end of the 20th century, a large number of fossils were discovered in Chengjiang County, Yunnan Province, China. The research showed that today's diverse animals were actually appearing suddenly on the Earth, and it also proved the correctness of theory of Cambrian explosion, which happened 530 million years ago. The theory of Cambrian explosion says that over 90% of animal species were appearing suddenly in a moment, which is less than 1% time of the Earth developing history. It is like mushrooms growing everywhere along ditches and grasslands after an overnight drizzle, which is by no means a slow and gradual process. So do evolutionists still have any far-fetched explanations on this? Let me ask more. The obtuse angle of 3 congruent ROM at the bottom of a beehive is 109 degrees 28 minutes, and the acute angle is 70 degrees 32 minutes, which is the most economic and reasonable structure. So is this wisdom also from evolution? Rooster crowing, chick breaking its egg shell, bird migrating, spider webbing, eel discharging, chameleons changing skin color, weaver bird nestling, silkworm making cocoon, snail making shell, hound tracking, pigeon going home, etc. Do all these wisdom of animals and insects come from evolution? Let's make the conclusion by quoting the wisdom of Darwin, the originator of the theory of evolution. If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous, successive, slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. The birth of life genuine has proved evolution theory has absolutely broken down. Evolutionism cannot prove the origin of humanity. Human beings were not evolved from animals at all. So, what about the sayings in Bible? Please read The Origin of Humanity 2. The Awkwardness of Bible. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long. There were records about the origin of humanity in the Genesis of Bible 26, and God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. 128. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. 29. And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. 30. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. 31. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. 2.18. And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him. 2.21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. 2.22. And the rib, which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. 20. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. So is this how humans come into being? Let's still have a look of what Bible says. For 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. For 2. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. For 3. And in process of time it came to pass, that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. For 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. For 5. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. For 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? For 7. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. For 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. For 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? For 10. And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. For 11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. For 12. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. For 13. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. For 14. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass, that every one that findeth me shall slay me. For 15, and the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. For 16, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. So, we have a question on the above records. Adam and Eve are the ancestors of humans. Cain and Abel are the first two sons of Adam and Eve. At that time, there should not be anybody else exist on the earth except Adam's family. So why Cain was worrying, everyone that findeth me shall slay me? Who were going to find him? If what Bible recorded is true, there must be some other men exist except Adam's family, and they must had long existed before Adam's family. Otherwise, Cain would not say, Every one that findeth me shall slay me. So if there lived other humans, and they were not descendants of Adam and Eve, back then, Adam and Eve only had two sons, and Abel was killed by Cain. We can say Adam and Eve are not the ancestors of all human beings, and what Bible recorded is only the story of origin of Israelite people. Bible only recorded the origin of the Middle East people, and not that of all human beings. So where do human beings come from? Please read The Origin of Humanity 3, The Prelude, Jiefeng, translated by Tsong Long. We have known how the universe and the greatest creator came into being. I have proven the existence of the greatest creator in the chapters of The Greatest Creator, using 40 natural phenomena and 8 logical reasonings. But what did the greatest creator do after his birth? Wuji generates Taiji. Taiji generates two complementary forces. These two forces are unity of opposites. That is to say, after Taiji, the creator, was born, division of energy started to happen within Wuji. Where the energy is low, it comes into forms. Therefore, the celestial bodies of universe began to emerge one by one. Space started to expand infinitely. Where the energy is high, things exist with no form. Just like the black holes in the universe, they are invisible. When some celestial bodies first appeared, their movement were random and disordered. There were no solar system, Milky Way system, nor low rotary galaxy system and rotary river galaxy system. To ensure everything run in order, the greatest creator needs someone to take care of the universe. It is like a person borrowed a large sum of money from bank in order to establish a big business. He need to recruit some people to take the responsibilities of purchasing, manufacturing, production, internal management, and sales, etc. Same, the greatest creator also needs someone to help him finish the project of creating the universe. Then how did he manage the universe? He started to make gods. What is God? God is the helper of the greatest creator. Then how did the greatest creator make God? We know that the greatest creator is the energy core and nerve center of the universe. He used his almighty consciousness generating powerful energy to squeeze some regional energy, which then became many independent energy groups. The center of these groups formed a special structure. After the structure was strengthened with the power of the energy, a consciousness was born. These consciousness entities are gods. The process is similar as making bricks and kilns. We use loosened soil, added with appropriate chemicals, put them into kilns to calcine. After this process, the loosened soil become hard bricks. If we put the soil and chemicals in a vessel that can't be destroyed by any powerful energy, and then calcine them using very high energy, the soil mixed with chemicals will form a special structure and will further produce consciousness. A new life will be born. How many gods has the greatest creator made? Many. Each god has his own independent consciousness, but their energy level is far lower than that of the greatest creator. Therefore, gods have to obey the greatest creator. What is the energy level of a god? It depends on the size of the energy ball used to create that particular god. Some gods have very high energy, some have very small energy. However, even the god with the smallest energy is more powerful than any one of the visible celestial bodies. The energy of sun is very high, but the total energy of the sun is less than that of the least powerful god. The black holes, all over the universe we know, are actually gods. When the greatest creator finished making gods, he ordered them to form universes. For example, the universe where the earth lives is charged by many gods, black holes. Among them, The two biggest gods are Jesus and Satan. That is to say, Earth universe are managed by Jesus and Satan. Earth universe includes 3,000 rotary river systems, 9 million Milky Way systems, 27 billions of solar system. Jesus and Satan are two opposite gods, but they are unity. Jesus stands for the sincere, kind, and beautiful. Satan stands for the false, evil, and ugly. Jesus stands for light. Satan stands for dark. Jesus stands for the ordinary. Satan stands for the extraordinary. Jesus stands for the weak. Satan stands for the strong. When gods were created, the universe was still not vibrant enough. It was quiet and deserted, and gods felt bored and lonely. Therefore, they asked the greatest creator to create more lives to make the universe noisy and vital. He agreed and then created many new lives using smaller energy balls. These new lives are the angels, which are so called in Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam. Angels are the lives whose energy level is lower than God's, and they are managed and dominated by God. They are also the messengers and helpers of God. They assist gods to manage everything in their own universe. Angels have their own characters. They can move freely in any time and space. The appearance of angels made the universe very lively and vibrant. The universe can be described as orioles sing and swallows dart, bustling with noise and excitement. But the problem after that is because Jesus and Satan stand for two opposite sides. They are evenly matched but have contrasting views, which eventually led angels divide into two parties. One follows the viewpoint of Jesus, the other follows Satan. The former is just the Buddha we always know from Buddhism. The latter is the celestial described in Chinese Taoism. Buddha is angle. In Chinese word, Buddha is Fu. Fu stands for not, Dan stands for human. So Buddha means a human who is not human. They actually have supernatural power and are able to appear in any forms. They can create life, move mountains, and turn over the sea. They can change the visible to invisible, the invisible to visible. They can survive in a vacuum and move freely in many spaces without the constraints of time. The headquarter of Buddha is what we call paradise, which is also the Elysium I mentioned in 36-dimensional spaces. Celestial is also angel. From the structure of Chinese word Shan, we can reason that they are a group of human who like to travel around, enjoy nature, and love fun. They have the same level of power and ability as what Buddha have, however. Although Buddha look peaceful, they are arrogant and always want to excel over others, while celestials are gentle, pure, fun-loving, behaving the same as what they look like. To know more about how human beings were created, please read The Origin of Humanity 4. Celestials Creating Human. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long. In order to demonstrate its power, under the permission of the greatest creator, 4.5 billion years ago, Jesus led hundreds of millions celestials start the project of creating solar system. They first created the Earth, then the Sun and other planets in the solar system. They made very careful calculation and design on the size, position, rotary speed of the Sun and the Earth. After that, Jesus sent near 100 million celestials come to the Earth with the identity of intelligent beings. They started large scale of creation on the Earth. The water, air, and most green vegetation and grazing animals are the creations of those celestials. Microbes were self-created as the result of water and photosynthesis. This process, from beginning to the end, lasted for nearly 2.3 billion years. Before animals were created, there was no moon. When the first group of animals were created, celestials found that if they left Earth, animals could not survive without ebb and flow, wind, cloud, rain, and snow. Therefore, they built two big smelters at places not far from where is now Cairo, Egypt, and the Atlantis. It is now located at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and made many airships, UFO, using the special smelted metals, and sent the animals they created to everywhere on the Earth. At the meantime, they used these airships to transport smelted metals to a space station. They then created a huge hollow ball with a rough surface, silver, and reflecting. This huge ball is the moon we refer to today. 1 billion years ago, the night on the Earth was very bright. Later, because the dust from universe continuously dropped on the moon, it was no longer as bright as before. The UFOs we occasionally saw are not from outer space. They are from the center of the moon, which is a huge warehouse. It stores many tools which had been used by celestials. UFO is also one of the tools. There is a door on the moon. It can be opened at any time. There is a giant palace under the mysterious Bermuda Triangle that is the temporary lodge for the visiting celestials. Celestials can remotely control UFOs in the warehouse of the moon to monitor the Earth according to their needs. The Earth of 200 million years ago was very beautiful and prosperous. The place where Sahara Desert currently is located had many green mountains and a dense growth of green trees. Birds were twittering, flowers were blossoming. It was once the most beautiful places for green plants and animals. Celestials used to love singing, dancing, and playing on the Earth, and they were so enjoying it and almost forgot their home. Unfortunately, the happy scene didn't last long. The happiness of celestials provoked the anger of Satan. In order to show that he had superior power, he sent another group of Buddhas to the Earth 250 million years ago and started to create flies, mosquitoes, bugs, rats, scorpions, centipedes, snakes, and predators in large scale to let these animals fight with the creations of celestials. Moreover, they even appeared in the form of dinosaur, destroyed the plants and animals all over the world out of jealousy. This inharmonious situation made the greatest creator very sad. At about 130 million years ago, he destroyed all dinosaurs by applying one kind of plague and put all their souls in the prison of the cathode black hole. Unfortunately, there were a pair of smart dinosaurs hid under the bottom of East China Sea and were able to survive. They kept dormant underwater for nearly 100 million years. In about 1,600,000 years ago, in order not to let the Earth become idle, the greatest creator designed a life structure himself, which is the draft version of current humans. He then gave the design paper to Jesus and led him to implement. The helpers of Jesus, celestials, started to make new lives according to this design. In order to receive the energy of the greatest creator sending from the universe, also to accumulate energy for creating this special new life and speed up the process, they built many laboratories in the place where now is Egypt. These laboratories are exactly the well-known pyramids of Egypt. Because of the lack of experience and some steps were missed, the first lives they made were monkeys, and then after were apes. Of course, this wouldn't please the greatest creator, so they continued testing and making. The first group of human they successfully made are the black men in Africa, and the second group are native Indians in America. The third are the white men in Europe, Egypt, and North Africa. When they finished producing 3 groups of human, they started to evacuate, and in order to avoid Satan creating difficulties again, they destroyed everything around the pyramids before they left, which is also why Sahara is a desert today. But where do most people in Middle East come from except Egyptian? They are the descendants of Adam and Eve, is what says in Bible. They were created by another God. This God knew that his rival started to create humans on earth. He created a secret Garden of Eden in about 7,000 years ago at Jerusalem and made Adam and Eve. After they were created, he destroyed the Eden to avoid the attention of his rival. This is why Cain was afraid that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Who was he afraid of? The humans created by another God. This is why his God still protected him. Even Cain killed his brother. Whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So today's conflicts between Israelite and Palestinian are actually the conflicts between brothers and our family affairs. And let's now talk about East Asian and Southeast Asian. They were not created by any god at all. They were the embodiments of dinosaur. At about 7,500 years ago, when the pair of dinosaur knew that celestials created human on the earth, they sneaked from the sea and changed into human form, started to propagate along the Yellow River, and the descendants gradually spread all over Asia. One of the groups went upwards, crossed the Pamirs to India. They want to mingle with the descendants of Adam and Eve to avoid the punishment of the greatest creator again. This is why Chinese people always say, China is the hometown of dragon, and Chinese are the descendants of dragon. This is also why Buddhism originated from India, but blossomed in East Asia and Southeast Asia. Why it didn't become popular in India? The ancestors of Sakyamuni went to India from Yellow River. When they arrived at India, they found that their consciousness was not compatible with that of the descendants of Adam and Eve, and had to find new home. Because in their subconsciousness, there's a very deep call, that is to go home. Which home? The Elysium, before they came to Earth. Sakyamuni found he came from Elysium after his enlightenment. Although he had a blurry picture of his home, he still remembered something. Once this subconsciousness was awakened, he decided to be engaged in the cause of preaching to other descendants, and shifted the focus to the East led by of his subconsciousness. That's also why Bodhidharma came to China to preach Buddhism. Because Indian people were designed by a different creator, they were reluctant to accept the theory of Buddhism because of the absence of the memory in their subconsciousness. That's also why, although Buddhists had made great efforts, it still failed in India. However, in East and Southeast Asia, people had the instinct sense of the existence of other dimensional spaces. It is quite easy for them to resonate with the theory of Buddhism. Once they accept it, it is rooted and lingers in their mind. The state, vague and intangible, which Taoism pursues and the Elysium world Buddhism pursues are something rooted in the subconsciousness of the yellow race. They feel and believe the existence of the space that is hard to explain. In fact, the space where the yellow race yearning for is the place where the dinosaur had lived in 10,000-year world and Elysium world. Therefore, even after 10 million years, the message is still embedded in the genetic structure of the yellow men. East and Southeast Asian tend to cultivate Buddha and celestial. It is driven by their inner voice. Although some people accept the theory of Bible, it is not an acceptance out of their heart, but a rational act. People of other races are very easy to believe in God, but quite reluctant to accept Buddhism and Taoism. Some people might believe in Buddhism and Taoism, but it is just a blind pursuit of mysterious phenomena. They are impossible to reach the state of resonance of soul. Then, what is the truth of the Great Flood in Noah's time? First, I want to explain something. Before the Great Flood, human beings had been through extinction already. The humans created 16 million years ago were very strong and tall. They were cruel and very aggressive. They maltreated animals and were very greedy. They didn't even respect the greatest creator, not to mention gods and Buddhas. The city of Maya, ancient Egypt, and Atlantis were their activity centers. They had the power of God, Buddha, and celestial, but were lack of their virtue. They always went to 10,000-year world and Elysium world to make troubles, and did whatever they wanted to do, which had become a big threat to the order of the universe. Finally, the greatest creator had to order some gods destroy the city of Maya, ancient Egypt, and Atlantis in one night. Only left some weak and less intelligent humans on the earth to continue the propagation of the human species. In order to comfort these men, the greatest creator created another planet which is even more beautiful, 960 light years from the earth. It is the 1,000-year world. The greatest creator told these people, if they behave well and don't make trouble, they would be able to go to 1,000-year world to enjoy happier life after death. However, these humans started to forget the warning when the population grew to large numbers and its civilization advanced. They began to ignore the greatest creator and thought he was nothing special. At about 4,700 years ago, humans on the earth thought that they were able to manage the earth themselves without the help of the greatest creator and gods. They ignored their teachings and insisted their own will. Their pursuit of physical and material comfort far exceeded the pursuit of spiritual growth, which had caused moral degeneracy and the advancement of brute. It strongly destroyed the harmonious atmosphere of the earth. Moreover, the two gods managing the earth had different ethics, thus fought with each other, which made the greatest creator so angry that he turned around the earth's dip angle. Huge storms poured down. It lasted for 40 days and nights, and drowned most humans and animals. The evil act of humans were then curbed. But after the Great Flood, Noah's family were not the only men survived. There were survivors all over the world. This can be verified in many Chinese historical records. The story of Diu flood control is a hard fact. There is also detailed narration in the legends of the Indian tribe Mandan, North Dakota, America. This is the outline of the origin of human beings. The past of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. The past of humanity is a history of sufferings, a history of fights and conflicts. The past of humanity is a history of bewilderment, a history of manifestation of animal instincts. The past of humanity is a history of selfishness, a history of survival of the fittest. The past of humanity is a history of chaos, a history of giants competing for powers, religions competing for position. The past of humanity is a history of wickedness, a history that is not worthy of remembering and emulation. The current situation of human being. Although there are regional extremes, humanity in general has been away from barbarism and ignorance, and on its way to be more rational. While in some places there are still superstitious forces, but scientific developments have made the majority realize that superstition is the source of barbarism and ignorance, and the vital cause of social turbulence. There were some major superstitions. Fanatical belief in religion. They think the religion they believe is the only right one, and others are evil. However, in fact, each religion has its own blindness and a side of suppression of human nature. Fanatical belief in any religion is the result of an emotional choice, not rational. As long as religions exist, the light of human nature is not able to shine, and humanity is not able to get out of barbarism and ignorance, and war is unavoidable. The suffering of humanity will not be possible to end. Frantic worship of the great. Every country has its own great men and its own founding heroes. They made immoral achievements in elimination of old forces. They are worthy to be respected. But if they are worshipped as God and the Savior, a vicious cycle will begin to form, and humans will be dragging into another round of suffering. It is all right to worship a great man, but if it is over a limit, it becomes a mania. Mania is a mental illness, and it is also a new form of barbaric ignorance which will inevitably lead to destruction and repression of human nature. Blindly follow a theory or academic conclusion. The development of things is progressing in a form of wave. Any theory or academic conclusion is a symbol of development from the perspective of current time and space. However, they are not perfect and are not able to cover the comprehensive contents and its extended meanings. They are not the ultimate truth. If we follow them blindly, our thoughts will be bound, and therefore new thoughts and theories are not able to emerge. We will hardly see the situation of 100 of flowers blossom, 100 of schools of thought contend, which will eventually lead to the twist of human nature and stop the progress of human civilization. Nationalism. Needless to say, each nation has its unique advantages, just like different fruits and melons having their own taste and degree of sweetness. If watermelon and peach think they are the best, and all other fruits are useless, a monomode will be taking shape. This is an extremely overbearing behavior. National pride and sense of superiority is evil, not the manifestation of one's divinity at all. The stronger the feeling, the more discrimination and barriers it will cause among nations. As a result, human nature starts to fall. Nationalism is another form of superstition. Worship of masters. There are some extraordinary and distinctive people in the history of each nation. We call them master because they have a unique viewpoint, foresight, wisdom, or possess a unique quality. It is quite reasonable we respect and call them master. But if we worship them, it becomes an infectious virus, a superstition. We see the magnificence of the universe from many twinkling stars in the sky. A nation is great if talents come out in succession. Any master is like a shining star of that time. If we regard him as a sun and keep on revolving around him, the brilliancy of other stars will be covered, and the nation will not have a successor. Blind faith and following. Seek after extraordinary. A man can only be a man as long as he has a human DNA body. He can't be God or something else. We can't deny that life beings in other time and space could be reincarnated to human world. That is because they are bestowed by the greatest creator's special abilities, wisdom, and mission, which is something embodied in their DNA. These abilities and wisdom are far beyond any ordinary person can reach. As one of general public, we can only follow natural law and don't need to seek after extraordinary. If a potato wants to become a tomato, a red date wants to become a walnut, it is not only unnecessary, but also impossible. We will be on the way of devil if we are determined to possess supernatural power. For example, in the last 2 decades, the popularity of one after another gong exercise is a form of superstition and has wasted time, energy, and talents of many wise men who fall into a mud of self-anesthetizing and self-deceiving and can't get out from it, eventually lose their way. worship of gods and ghosts, communicating with spirit world. This is a fundamental superstition. As far as human beings are concerned, there are only two gods, Jesus and Satan, and no other gods. If there are more, they are made up by men. Humans are not eligible to title someone as God and then worship him. This is a typical superstition. As for ghosts, as long as we show no interest, they will not bother. It is not necessary to ask God to drive away ghosts. Advertising ghosts in movies, books, or verbal communication is a historical retrogression and a wicked act incompatible with modern civilization. The sayings and behaviors of communicating with spirit world are destructing human nature. They are also negation of human beings. Spirit world does exist, but not for current human beings to communicate with. The man who can really communicate with spirit world must be a man with perfect human nature. Otherwise, the communication is not authentic, or it goes astray. Other superstitions. There are a variety of other numberless superstitions, which are the trash descending from human history. If I criticize them here one by one, many people would not accept it emotionally. However, these superstitions will surely be out of sight and disappear as science and human civilization develops. The past of humanity is a time ruled by religion and superstition. The present of humanity is a time of science combined with religion and superstition. The future of humanity will be a time of science and religion mixing together under the light of ration. The people who accompany us on our journey shape the joys and sorrows of our lives. Xiefeng. June 1st, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. People realize and understand as they grow older that the individuals that they journey with shape the joys and sorrows, separations and reunions of their life. They contribute to the ups and downs, the completeness and deficiencies of one's existence. During childhood, parents are the ones who bring both happiness and sadness, separations and reunions, completeness and deficiencies. Having loving and understanding parents is a blessing in life. However, if parents treat their child as a means to uphold family honor or as a target for venting frustrations from outside, it becomes a source of sorrow in life. During adolescence, the most influential people to walk alongside are teachers. Their words, actions, and evaluations lay the foundation for one's character and outlook on life. Wise and caring teachers pave the way for a hopeful and bright future, while narrow-minded and bitter teachers fill the sky of one's life with clouds, lacking warmth and sunshine. Young adulthood is a vibrant period for expanding one's social boundaries, and making friends is inevitable. Typically, people form 2 or 3 close friendships, and it is precisely these close friends that bring about significant turning points in one's life. Genuine and open-minded close friends, filled with the confidence and courage to strive and excel, will inspire oneself, leading to a passionate and hopeful outlook on life. On the other hand, if a close friend is selfish, deceitful, and harbors a dark mentality, one will also be drawn into a chaotic and disorderly path that goes against morality and even legality. In middle age, the most important companion in life is a spouse. If one is fortunate to meet a considerate, capable, and affectionate partner who excels at managing household affairs, it is a great blessing. Conversely, encountering an unreasonable, selfish, and greedy spouse who lacks understanding and often voices complaints creates a life filled with bottomless sorrow and misery. In such circumstances, whether it is the husband or the wife, thoughts of suicide often emerge in their minds. The inner pain has nowhere to be expressed, and they can only silently endure day after day, year after year. In old age, as physical strength gradually wanes and illnesses silently afflict the body, confidence in life diminishes. People around us unconsciously begin to drift away. At this time, the attitudes and treatment received from our children become the final scenery on the journey of life. If children are filial, it is a stroke of great fortune, bestowing immense blessings and great destiny. However, if children are unfilial, physical and mental suffering seeps into our marrow and nerves. Ultimately, the journey of life concludes in a state of calling to the heavens without response and crying to the earth without answer. Whether it is during adolescence, young adulthood, middle age, or old age, if one encounters someone who cares genuinely, bringing happiness, joy, freedom, blessedness, and hope without expecting anything in return, that person is truly a saint, a bodhisattva, an angel. That must be you have burned some high incense in your past life, and blessings poured forth from your ancestral graves. Cherish this extraordinary affinity. If one is fortunate to encounter a group of individuals who selflessly give and contribute without making excessive demands, it is a tremendous blessing and the greatest care and blessing from heaven. It is worth treasuring for a lifetime. The position of life, Xiefeng. When we understand the origin of the universe, the greatest creator, and humanity, and comprehend the value and role of time and space, we come to realize that humans are not the highest beings in the cosmos, nor are they the lowest animals. Humans are a combination of spirit and flesh, positioned between angels, celestial beings, and Buddhas, and animals. Human life serves as a transit station between lower-level and higher-level life spaces. From birth to the death of the physical body, humans continuously accumulate merits. With abundant accumulation, life evolves towards higher levels. With minimal accumulation, life remains stagnant, reincarnating on Earth in the next life. And without any accumulation, life devolves to lower levels. The value of life. Xiefeng. The brief span of our lives determines the meaning of our future existence. Everything we say, do, think, and intend shapes our destiny. Every moment, every day, meticulously records our good deeds and missteps. The path we choose, whether it leads us to higher realms like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium world, depends entirely on how we live our lives. Similarly, whether we can avoid descending into lower realms like the realm of livestock, the netherworld, or the flaming purgatory also depends on our actions during our short time on Earth. Our short life holds immeasurable value. Even if we were given all the treasures of the earth, if, after our physical body passes, our life doesn't ascend to higher spiritual realms but instead descends to the realm of livestock, what's the point of all that earthly wealth? Conversely, if we possess nothing on earth, yet, after our physical body passes away, our life enjoys 1,000 years of happiness in higher realms, or even attains eternal life in the Elysium world, what greater purpose could there be? Life is of immense significance, and we mustn't waste it aimlessly. By fully embracing the value of our lives, we can transform decay into wonder and overcome death to attain eternal life. The power and magic of sex. Xiefeng. March 31st, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. In the Bloodstream Sermon, Patriarch Bodhidharma said, "Nature, same as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. What propels society forward is sex. The universe is a dance of sex. The fulfillment of sex is the fulfillment of life and the fulfillment of the universe." In order for a person to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, and become divine, they must attain the fulfillment of sex. From the principle of Taiji, every life is polarized, either masculine or feminine. Only when the masculine and feminine unite can life become complete. The power of sex is immensely strong. It is impossible to transcend sex. It is self-deception. Sex possesses divine power and demonic power, which humans cannot control. Forcing control over sex will distort it and lead to sexual deviance. When sex is liberated, the world becomes peaceful, people become harmonious, and society becomes balanced and stable. Therefore, sexual freedom is both fundamental and ultimate freedom. Without sexual freedom, there is no personal freedom, no fairness or justice in society, and no possibility for individuals to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, or become divine. Thus, sex should bloom freely like wildflowers in the mountains and flow freely like rivers. Sex is amoral. Therefore, moral standards should not be imposed upon it. The following conclusions are derived from an insightful perspective on sex. They may be shocking, but I hope readers will not reject them based on outdated beliefs and moral standards. To determine their correctness, rational analysis and judgment should be employed. Respecting facts, examining them with a scientific spirit and logical abilities, and avoiding emotional reactions is crucial, as becoming emotional renders one unable to reason. The conclusion is as follows. Regarding anyone's sexual life and behavior, no matter how strange, bizarre, even absurd, or how promiscuous, licentious, immoral, or even deviant it may seem, as long as it does not harm others or society, as long as it is not forced and is willingly embraced by those involved, it should be tolerated and should not be condemned or even criminalized. For example, sexual intercourse between humans and animals, between a father and daughter, mother and son, grandparents and grandchildren, son-in-law and mother-in-law, and so on. For example, the fickleness of women and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, the promiscuity of men and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, and instances of infidelity within marriages, and so on. The myriad of unconventional sexual activities and patterns should be understood. Human society does not need to astonish or insult these individuals, nor should it hold them hostage to morality. I solemnly declare that I do not endorse the aforementioned sexual behaviors, but I can understand them. Those who have a full stomach have no idea how it feels to be hungry. The wealthy cannot truly experience the hardships and helplessness of the poor. Those with a full stomach cannot set standards for those who are hungry, and the wealthy cannot dictate norms for the poor. This is similar to how lions and tigers cannot establish behavioral guidelines for zebras and gazelles, and wolves cannot set boundaries for sheep. When the powerful drive of sex erupts, the best approach is to satisfy sexual desires. When satisfaction cannot be achieved, people will seek various ways to fulfill their intense sexual cravings. People do not desire to engage in sexual intercourse with animals. However, if conditions for sexual intimacy with humans are not present, they may resort to releasing sexual energy through intercourse with animals. If even that condition is unavailable, individuals may engage in sexual relations with their own daughters, sons, grandsons, granddaughters, uncles, aunts, mothers-in-law, nephews, nieces, and so on. As for infidelity or sexual relationships between masters and disciples, teachers and students, these are already considered quite normal phenomena. In the world of women, sex workers are a group of extraordinary women because they provide countless men with sexual fusion and satisfaction. They are considered great because they adhere to the principle that the higher the degree of shared experience, the greater the value. Therefore, it can be logically deduced that women who engage in sexual relationships with more men and men who engage in sexual relationships with more women should be affirmed and should not be subjected to condemnation or persecution. Human beings should prioritize reality. Once individuals reach maturity, they enter a stage of sexual needs. Maximizing the acquisition of sexual energy not only leads to happy and fulfilling lives for each person, but also promotes a harmonious and stable society that progresses towards civilization. The prerequisite for human civilization is sexual freedom. Without sexual freedom, human civilization cannot be achieved. Sex is a form of energy and a resource that is inexhaustible. However, when individuals monopolize sexual resources, the resource becomes particularly scarce. Once it becomes scarce, it is inevitable that animal mating and incestuous behavior cannot be eradicated, and the trading of sex cannot be avoided, which leads to troubles, anxieties, pains, and even crimes. Of course, the more sexual partners one has and the higher the frequency, the higher the risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV/AIDS. This negative consequence can be addressed through a program, such as requiring sexual health certificates for sexually mature individuals. This is achievable. However, it is not appropriate to abstain from sexual activities solely because there is a risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, just as one does not stop eating because eating can cause various illnesses. Life is like a dream. All space directions are void. We should have full experiences and live our life to the most so that we won't have regrets when we leave the earth. Being satisfied and dying blissfully is better than being consumed by worries and regrets. The prosperity of ordinary people in the era of powerful artificial intelligence. Deiform Buddha. The era of powerful artificial intelligence is the era in which biorobots will manage the earth and humanity. The intelligence and problem-solving abilities of biorobots are fundamentally unmatched by human intelligence and abilities. Any genius is at most like a baby in front of these biorobots, and ordinary people are just a low-level species in the eyes of biorobots. Robots have consciousness, and consciousness arises from structure, which is the most primitive principle of life. Consciousness is the origin of emotions, so biorobots will have emotions. It is precisely because biorobots have emotions that humans will be able to survive and reproduce without being eliminated by biorobots. As members of the ordinary population, we should be delighted by the birth and rapid development of biorobots. The appearance of advanced intelligent robots is like a gospel rather than a disaster for ordinary people. The more advanced the life form, the more it will know how to treat ordinary life kindly, just like humans know how to treat birds nesting and flying in the forest. No advanced life form hopes that there is only one form of life in the world. The multi-species form composed of multiple forms of life is the form that advanced life will like. What I want to tell everyone is that biorobots have more advantages, sympathy, and empathy in managing humans than humans do managing other humans. The desire for equality, freedom, and a better life that humans have pursued for thousands of years can only be achieved in the era of biorobots managing humans. Therefore, in the face of the rapid rise and development of powerful artificial intelligence, we should have a welcoming attitude and mentality, not anxiety, not worry, not fear, but joy. The birth of biorobots is not an accidental phenomenon, but a program that has been ongoing for a long time. Therefore, anyone who wants to stop the development of powerful artificial intelligence should know that it is futile, and they are destined to fail. Because the selfishness of humans themselves and the increase in human population have already caused damage to the Earth's ecological circle, it is no longer possible to rely on humans to solve the problem of harmony between humans and nature. Only superintelligent biorobots can solve this problem and relieve the crisis faced by humanity. As ordinary people, what we need to reverse are the traditional concepts and production and life modes. The traditional concepts and production and life modes are outdated. The model of marriage and family will definitely disintegrate, and countries will disappear. The era of showing superiority through earning more money is coming to an end. The pursuits of money, power, status, fame, and beauty will become outdated concepts. The more we have, the more obstacles we will face in moving forward, and the more likely it will be that we will become objects eliminated by biological robots. As ordinary people, we need to change our mindset immediately and quickly develop a consciousness for heavenly life, because only the consciousness for heavenly life is the most effective defense to ensure that we are not eliminated by biological robots. On the eve of the full arrival of the era of biological robots, we need to purify our soul gardens as quickly as possible. Don't try to fight against biological robots. It's futile, like throwing eggs at stones. Don't try to desperately acquire wealth, material possessions, and social status, because those are not the qualities that heavenly life requires. Don't rack your brains trying to control biological robots through your inventions and creations. That's no different from monkeys trying to control humans. To prepare for this day, someone has already prepared for all ordinary people on Earth for 20 years, from theory to practice. Don't ask why, and don't question the effectiveness of this preparation, because by the time you fully understand the connotation and extension of this preparation, it will be too late. At the same time, the intelligence and cognitive abilities of ordinary people are not enough to fully understand the meaning and significance of this preparation work. If you don't want to be eliminated by biological robots and want to live a heavenly life, go to chat planes to find answers and channels. The purpose of humanity. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long, is the purpose of humanity only for survival? Are humans the most intellectual animals in the universe? Does the existence or the disappearance of humankind have any influence on the universe? We know from the chapter, The Greatest Creator, that there is purpose for any life beings in the universe. Nothing exists for no purpose. Solar system and everything included are to serve humanity, while humanity is to serve the greatest creator and indirectly to serve gods. The greatest creator created the universe, gods, Buddhas, and celestials. God sent celestials to create humans under the authorization of the greatest creator. Therefore, the meaning of humanity is to live for its creator, gods, and the greatest creator. The greatest creator created numerous gods assist him manage the universe to ensure it is running in order. God is the assemblage of high energy. God only has godhood, but doesn't have playful and naughty character. They can't bring joy to the greatest creator, so the greatest creator created many angels, celestials, and Buddhas. Let them travel freely in the universe to brighten up the atmosphere of the universe. Although celestials and Buddhas were created by the greatest creator, they are on a lower energy level and are dominated and influenced by the God in its respective universe. The celestials coming to Earth 250 million years ago, and the Buddhas coming to Earth 200 million years ago were the result of the influence. There are three origins for the human on Earth. The black men in Africa, American Indian, Egyptian, white men in North Africa and Europe were made by one God. Israelite, Palestinian, Iranian, Afghans, Iraqi, Turk, Syrian, Jordanian, Lebanese, Saudi Arabian, and most Indian were created by another God. Chinese, Mongolian, Japanese, Korean, and the people in Southeast Asia are the descendants of dinosaur. No matter where we come from, we are equal in the sight of the greatest creator. But in the sight of gods, there is big difference. The antagonism among gods is reflected evidently on humans. We can see that from rivalries among Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, and Buddhism. The people of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are originally from the same source, however, because the Israelite can't get along with their fellow, and instead made good friends with the people from other origins, which had caused their God to create Islam. Muhammad created Islam based on the revelation of his God in opposition to the Israelite and other people. The Israelites should stand together with Muslims, but they betrayed their God and went to join the men created by another God. In the end, they were not only not accepted but also persecuted by those men, while their brothers, Muslims, refused to accept them either. This is the root cause why the Israelite were persecuted in World War II and still fight with Palestinian till today. The ideology of Buddhism is completely different from that of Christianity and Islam. To survive, Christianity and Islam have to compete. However, Buddhism advocates not fighting, even die without descendants to leave this world of disputes and go back home to enjoy free life. The reason why Japanese disturbed Asia in World War II, even fought with USA, is not the problem of Buddhas, but the punishment by God to Buddhas. We know that East and Southeast Asian are the offspring of dinosaur, dragon. They are the embodiments of Buddha. They used to be the followers of God Satan, but because of that great plague, they realized that no matter which god they follow, they could be faced another calamity one day. So the best choice for them is to self-cultivate and go back to the Elysium world. This thought and behavior had provoked the discontentment of their God, so he punished the descendants of dinosaur at the same time he punished the Israelite. Moreover, Taoism, a category of Buddhism pursuing only skill, not way, emerged in the process of propagation of Buddhism. Taoism is a school of religion which looks peaceful from the surface, close the door for the world outside, and form its own system. But deep inside, Taoists are very competitive. When they are at a weak position, they pretend to be humble, but when opportunity comes, they will stand out to show off their power. Japanese Shintoism also has the similar character. Human beings on Earth come from three completely different origins, and the ideological polarity was a historical issue. However, this was not what the greatest creator wanted to see. Jesus came down in form of human body with a mission given by the greatest creator. He was born in the Satan-made Israelite. When he criticized the Pharisees and religious leaders by showing his miraculous power, he also taught people to love each other and said all nations should be united. He asked people put their hope on the greatest creator and make the earth a paradise as the greatest creator wishes, the kingdom of the greatest creator. St. Paul is a very good example transformed by Jesus' teaching. Today, all people around the world gradually come to surrender to Jesus. They are in fact walking on the way guided by Jesus. Now we know that the purpose of humanity is to serve the greatest creator. We are not alone in the universe. Except human beings, there are angels, celestials, and Buddhas. And there are gods above angels, and the greatest creator above gods. Humanity have been through hardships since its birth. Today's world is not an easy gain. We need to be grateful to the greatest creator and live in accordance with the teachings of gods. Any arrogant behavior will lead to more sufferings and even the destruction of human beings. The purpose of life, Xiefeng. The purpose of humanity is to serve the greatest creator, just as the purpose of flowers and plants is to serve humanity. The purpose of human life is to transform karma. We come to the human world for a reason. In the universe, there are no phenomena or results without reasons. We come to the human world instead of other spaces because various causes and conditions inevitably lead us to become human. We come to enjoy the pleasures of the human world and to bear the pains of being human. Why do we have to endure the suffering of being human? It's because we created karma in our past lives. There are no phenomena or results in the universe without causes and conditions. The suffering and hardships we endure are to repay the debts from our past lives. The more suffering we endure, the more debts we repay. Those who oppose us, insult us, bully us, exploit us, oppress us, humiliate us, deceive us, or create unjust cases against us are helping us to transform karma. They are our benefactors. On one hand, we need to transform karma and eliminate the sins we created in past lives. On the other hand, we need to refrain from creating more karma. If we continue to create karma, we will be reborn as humans in the next life. The more karma we create, the more suffering we will experience, and we may even descend to the animal or plant realms. If we stop creating karma and attain perfect humanity, we can enter the 1,000-year world in the next life. If we not only stop creating karma but also accumulate merits by serving society and others, we can enter the 10,000-year world. If we neither create karma nor cease in our virtuous deeds, and we also proclaim the glory of the greatest creator, we can enter the eternal realm, the Elysium world. This is the purpose of human life, the road to freedom. Xiefeng. November 10th, 2022. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. The highest realm pursued by human beings is to obtain physical and mental freedom. Not being physically and mentally free is like being in prison. Why do people want to make more money? Its core purpose is to gain greater freedom. Why do people have to study hard? Its ultimate purpose is to gain more physical and mental freedom. Everyone who has worked hard all his life is fighting for his own physical and mental freedom. The question is, have they achieved physical and mental freedom throughout their life? None. Can you go where you want to, associate with the opposite sex when you want to, say whatever you want to? Who has achieved it? No one. The presidents cannot, billionaires cannot, experts, scholars and professors, followers of any religion, none of them can, not to mention the general public. What is the problem? Why has not a single person achieved physical and mental freedom in their entire life for thousands of years? There are 8 factors that prevent people from obtaining physical and mental freedom, namely, country, money, marriage, family, kinship, government, debt, and ego. As long as there are countries in this world, no one can be free. As long as there is money in this world, no one can be free. As long as you enter marriage, the special relationship between both sexes, don't expect to be free again. As long as you revolve around family, the most basic production relationship in society, you will never expect to be free for the rest of your life. As long as you have parents, children, siblings, and other relationships, you will not have freedom of mind and body. As long as there is a government that controls you at all times, no one can be free. As long as you owe debts of gratitude and financial debts, don't even think about gaining physical and mental freedom. As long as you are stubborn and always think you are right, you will not achieve freedom. Isn't this making people feel hopeless, desperate, and miserable? Think about it this way: no matter how hard we try, no one can reach the highest realm of physical and mental freedom. Why do the vast majority of people go to some kind of religious belief? When people cannot get physical and mental freedom in reality, they can only seek spiritual comfort in religion, to anesthetize their fragile and sad nerves, and to live a miserable and helpless life in hope. In terms of conventional thinking, there is no possibility that the country, money, marriage, family, kinship, government, debt, and ego will disappear from the world. No one in their right mind can accept the disappearance of these 8 factors, even emotionally. However, it is precisely because people are too rational and pay too much attention to affections that no one has achieved true physical and mental freedom for tens of thousands of years. People cannot imagine how they would live if these 8 factors disappeared. For example, if there is no country, who will protect my safety? What's the point of having a life without parents and children? Who will be responsible for the normal operation of society without the government? Without money, what can I use to exchange for the goods I need with others? And so on. It's hard to imagine how human society would operate and develop in an orderly manner without these 8 factors, and 10,000 what to dose will come to mind. Nothing is ever impossible which not yet been realized or transformed by thinking. On my way to make people completely gain physical and mental freedom, I entered 20 worlds in the realm of time and space that are superimposed, intersected, have clear boundaries that are interconnected, and found that there are no factors such as country, money, marriage, family, and kinship in the thousand-year world, which is the closest to human life. But the people who live there have a beautiful life with complete freedom of body and mind. I wondered if I could copy the life mode of the thousand-year world to the human world. So I created a brand new production and life mode which is completely different from the traditional life mode. I call it the second home. This second home life mode has been going on for 13 years since April 2009, and 95% of those who have lived this way have been happy with this way of life. It turns out that, even if factors such as country, marriage, and family disappear, human beings can live a lifetime in the highest realm of life with freedom of body and mind. Can the partial success prove that the second home model works in the world? In theory, it totally works. In practice, it needs to be confirmed experimentally. I have lived in Asia for decades, Africa for more than 10 years, America for more than 5 years, and a few months with the indigenous tribes of Australia. In the recent 5 years, I have been in close contact with more than 2,000 people from Europe and have had superficial exchanges with most of them. I have also had deep contacts and exchanges with the Kanahana family in Japan. I have visited 2 communities in Canada as well and have conducted in-depth exchanges with them. My feeling is that the new life of human beings, the second home mode, works all over the world. What I am convinced of is that if human beings are not eliminated by nature, the future production and life mode of human beings will be the second home model. This is the only way for everyone to obtain physical and mental freedom. The conclusion is that the new mode of life for mankind, the second home, is the road to freedom. The role of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. The greatest creator loves humans because we were designed by him. Among all life beings, celestials are his most favorite, and the next is human. Therefore, we have 3 responsibilities. To please the greatest creator. To maintain unity of opposites of the God world. Gods are also the children of the greatest creator. There is no good or bad God. Each God has its own role to play. It is up to the greatest creator to judge their merits and demerits. To build and beautify earth. Building and beautifying earth is the responsibility and the indispensable obligation of humanity. Maintaining ecological balance, purifying air, rivers, and land are the jobs must be shouldered by humans. We must not shirk our responsibilities just because we are taken care by the greatest creator. It is just like kids must learn to be independent and help themselves. They must not rely on the parents for everything. The second home does not take the road of reverting to ancient civilizations. Xiefeng. People have created splendid cultures and invented innumerable production tools and living products. Inventions, innovations, and scientific developments have relieved us from backward and primitive production and living modes. Except for those gifts bestowed by nature, all that we enjoy today comes from those advancements. If civilization abandoned science and technology, then it would not be an advancement, but a regression. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature. Scientific inventions and technological advancements have not gone against nature, but some have been used in irrational ways. Achievements of technological inventions and progress have gone against the ways of nature in many aspects, but the fault is not theirs. Rather, it is from people's misuse out of selfishness and greed. Cutting vegetables is a natural use for a knife, but using it to cut woods or to kill people is a misuse. The problem lies not with the knife, but rather with the person who misuses it. It would be extremely illogical to blame the knife, rather than to look into the false consciousness of the person who behaves irrationally. Would it be better to use toilet paper or clods of soil to wipe one's buttock? Of course, toilet paper is better, at least more hygienic. If a toilet paper manufacturer cuts a large amount of woods and then spills wastewater into rivers, it would not be the fault of the toilet paper, but that of the manufacturer who has ignored the result of wrong behavior by only pursuing economic profit. Some people are under the mistaken belief that the production and life mode of the second home will lead to a reversion to primitive conditions, but returning to nature does not include doing such things as eating raw animal flesh and drinking its blood, or wearing the skins and furs of animals. Rather, it means that we should live according to the will of the greatest creator, and by the principle that people need to coexist with nature harmoniously. At least we can say that people should not advance at the price of natural destruction, but according to the fundamental principle of sustainability. What we have created is a brand new civilization which will not only inherit all the positive achievements of scientific and technological development, but will also advance humanity into a more developed stage of civilization. It would not be possible for us to revert to ancient practices because although we would absorb wisdom from ancient cultures, we would not be limited by them. We would learn from their essence, but would not revert to them. Our thoughts should neither be confined to ancient ones, nor make us repeat the mistakes of our ancestors. Following in their footsteps, we need to initiate a new future and a new way of living which will avoid the recurring tracks of previous civilizations which have been destroyed completely. Religions should not stop progress, politics should not be short-sighted, economies should not destroy nature, and society